Good afternoon, everybody. It's Stephen and Paul from WinExtra bringing you your Microsoft Daily Brief for January 27th, 2011. And you don't mind Paul, because he's probably going to be really testy because he's got a bad back and doesn't have his usual office chair, so he's just a little upset.
I have my usual office chair. It's just right there. I'm going to have to get a new one. It's just sort of become uncomfortable for sitting in for prolonged periods.
Yeah, we do tend to spend a lot of time in our office chairs, don't we?
Dude, it was like 16 hours working yesterday, 18 hours, 17 hours the day before.
Yeah.
It's that long to be parked on your keister is a long time.
Well, it kind of makes sense now why somebody's going to go out and they spend like $500 for one of those Arion chairs, because you spend so much time in them, you want to be comfortable. And plus, we go through the cheap ones so fast. Like the one I've got right now. Well, granted, we picked it up used for $60, but it's already on. It's going to be bye in a month or two.
Cheap chairs don't last very long, you know. No. And it's important to be comfortable, and it's important to feel good while you're working. You know, ergonomics is a very important thing to just your general productivity and your sort of mental state of well-being. Stops people like me being very cranky.
You mean you're supposed to have a mental state of well-being?
I just have a mental state.
Yeah. Anyway, first up we have a story out of Fast Company about how Microsoft plans a natural interface future full of gestures, touchscreens, and haptics.
And?
It's the future.
I know. I wonder if this is just making the rounds because it's a Fast Company article. I don't know. I mean, we've been saying this for months, that this is the future. We're talking about Connect. We're talking about voice commands. We're talking about touch and multi-touch and, natural user interfaces. Of course, that's what Microsoft plans.
I think it's because it had a really nice little infographic. The really cool thing now.
Are you going to put that infographic up on screen? Because I haven't seen it yet. You didn't put it in the show notes.
I did so. It's right there in the article, the Fast Company post, right there. Natural user interface technology.
Hudson, there's a reason we keep the show notes in a document. Everything we need is supposed to be in there, rather than... The point of starting the show notes was so that we didn't have 20 million browser tabs open when we came to recording time.
Oh.
Or have you forgotten that?
Oh. I don't know. I just kind of like the browser. I don't know.
You're the lazy bum.
I know. Anyway, so much for natural user interface. It's coming. We'll get used to it. We'll like it until the next great big thing comes along.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah. Nokia, their new CEO, Stephen Elop, previously from Microsoft.
An ex-Microsoft.
Yes, is hinting about support for a third-party OS, possibly.
Windows Phone 7.
There
right. How long have we been saying this?
Well, we suggest...
How many times on this show have we discussed partnerships between Microsoft and Nokia and what this would mean? How many times have we belittled the rumor of Microsoft buying Nokia while saying a software partnership would definitely be right up the lines?
Yes. And we've been called stupid because of it. But you know what? Last laugh might be on us again.
People are always laughing at us.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true. Okay. I don't know how, how we have our PSAs and we have our really stupid posts of the day. I think we ought to give Preston Gala at Computer World his very own classification of posts.
We need to start an award, possibly with an Eiffel Tower and a lemon.
Yes.
And pass that out.
Yes. Because
people in the tech world straight away should get the relevance of that, especially if you listen to Stephen's other shows that he does with Sean on the Brain Dead TechCast network. First off, the earnings call for Microsoft hasn't yet happened. At the time of recording, we're about 2 hours away from the earnings call today. And this guy's coming out and he's saying that new sales figures for Windows Phone 7 go from bad to worse. Now, let's bear in mind that the figures he's working with are the ones that Bammer announced at CES, where he said we had done over 2 million, shipped over 2 million units. So it's taken him a bit long to do this very small bit of math and write this post. But basically, what he's saying is that, you know, Microsoft announced that in the first 6 weeks they shipped 1.5 million units to retailers, and then they're saying that you know, at CES was announced that they had done over 2 million, which means that they sold about 500,000 units in December, and you know, I think your man's point here is that Google are saying that they're activating 300,000 Android devices a day, which, bear in mind, means about 900,000 devices every 3 days, or about 2.5 million devices a week. Which, when you start to do the math,
makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And then consider that, you know, Apple are bouncing around the same numbers, and you're starting to get, okay, there's 5-6 million phones being activated a week, brand new. There's that big a market. I mean, I know the market is huge and it's growing, but seriously, I don't know anybody who's upgraded their phone in a while. You know, so those numbers have to be taken with a grain of salt. But you know, Microsoft have always said from the very beginning they're in this for the long run. Yeah. We all know this is still a version 1 product. We know that it has its faults as well as the areas that it excels. But we also know that the marketing isn't been done on the carrier end, at least here in the US. Microsoft needs to throw more money at that themselves and kind of push their partners into that. But 2 million devices, brand new entry into the smartphone market, into a saturated market, they're doing okay. The numbers are going up, the numbers are growing. And, you know, it will get there. Look, this is Microsoft. Anybody who has been around this game long enough knows Microsoft never, ever gets it right
the first
try. It does not happen.
No.
It's when Microsoft hits version 3, that's when you know something has become ubiquitous.
But I really, his parting shot on his post was the upshot. Despite the Windows Phone 7 launch, Microsoft appears to be falling further behind in mobile.
And that is, and you see, it's exactly statements like that that tell me exactly where the basis of this post came from. He's free to call us in, all right? Our number is, what's our new number? Our new number is 251-281-8730. It's open 24 hours a day. And he's free to call us in and correct me if I'm wrong here. But that last statement in that post tells me that he sat down to write this article with one thing in mind. How do I write a bad article about Microsoft that puts them in a bad light? It's the only reason to have included that last statement. Now, I know we run a Microsoft site, but, you know, you all watched me rant yesterday and accuse Hodgson of being a fanboy. And you've all heard me rant on as well about how what I care most about in the reporting of these stuff is just simply fairness, okay? Yes, the numbers are small on Windows Phone 7, but yes, they are growing.
Yeah. The bleed of executives from Microsoft seems to be carrying on as we get
my hairy Japanese arse it does.
Yeah, well.
And I'm Irish.
Yes. But apparently Twitter has hired Bing's principal scientist away from Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay, so this guy, what's his name? Kalks? Alex Kalks?
Alec Kalks, yeah.
Alec Kalks has described himself on LinkedIn as the principal scientist at Bing, the chief scientist of core search at Microsoft. No, sorry, the principal scientist at Bing. But then you look at other Bing employees, like Jan Pedersen, and he describes himself as the chief
scientist of core search.
I have a feeling that maybe somebody's been slightly fluffing the resume a little bit.
No,
because you know, when you get like Read Write Web write this story, And then they come back later on and they update it, and they're pointing out that, you know what, this guy's resume looks a little bit fluffed.
Yes.
I don't think he's as important as he makes himself out to be.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy with an inferiority complex. He's trying to bolster himself.
Yeah.
And now he scored a job at Twitter.
Have fun, buddy. Enjoy your time at Twitter. One other defection from Microsoft was to Salesforce.com, but the executive
Mizuski?
Yeah. Anyway, Microsoft said no, and went to court to stop or to get a temporary restraining order for him going to work with Salesforce.
Yeah, because what he did at Microsoft basically was, they're dealing with
corporate CRM.
Corporate CRM, the cloud, basically. Yeah. And what they're doing at Salesforce was pretty much exactly the same stuff. So, when he goes from Microsoft there, he's bringing with him, knowledge, sensitive customer, customer information, competitive information, that sort of stuff. Stuff that he can put directly into play against Microsoft. And this is nothing unusual. We see this all the time, and we see companies try to stop it all the time. But normally in some states, these sort of do-not-compete agreements in contracts are pretty much enforceable or unenforceable depending where you live. But Microsoft have actually won a temporary restraining order against this guy, stopping him from going to Salesforce, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
So it's round one of the legal battles. So we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Final rant of the day is coming up, I think.
Yes, I think I'll leave this in your capable hands, but apparently an autistic boy has been branded a cheater on Xbox.
Okay, look, I understand where his mother is coming from, making all this stink about my 11-year-old autistic boy has been branded a cheater, because the automatic Microsoft software looked at his scores and looked at his gameplay and looked at his time and said, you know what, this can't be right. Okay? It just can't be right. So people at Microsoft are kind of convinced that somebody must have gone into his account and fiddled with his score. And until, somebody actually really, really checks it, rather than just an automated system, he's now got, cheaters stuck on his Xbox, Xbox Live profile. Now, the interesting thing is that this happens to people everywhere, every other day.
Yep.
Lots of people. But the reason this is a story is because, of course, it's happened to an 11-year-old. By the way, an 11-year-old who, in the screenshot, is playing a mature-rated game. Anyway, that's another story if we're really going to talk about this. But I feel for the kid, especially considering he is autistic. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of stories out there right now around the blogosphere that are painting Microsoft in a very bad light for this, as if they deliberately decided to step on this autistic kid, which they didn't, and they haven't. It's just something that they have in place to protect everybody that pays for their Xbox Live subscription from cheaters, and lots of people fall foul of it every day. Yeah, so this kid just happens to be autistic. That makes the story.
The hint here to all you other bloggers out there wanting to, get page views on the back of bad-mouthing Microsoft, how about getting your facts first to find out what the actual truth of the story is? It might help. Anyway.
This is the blogosphere. That doesn't happen, Hudson.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our show for today. I'm Stephen. That's Paul. This has been WinExtra's Microsoft Daily Briefs for January 27th, 2011. Everybody, have a good day.